most people go to hell for the sins of the flesh. And we see that immorality is just glorified all around us. I'm shocked when I was in Sydney recently, and 8 o'clock in the evening, I turned on the TV in the room I was staying. I could not believe the language that I was hearing. I could not believe the things that they were talking about, things that were something people in the past would be ashamed of saying. I could not believe the language, and the push in schools, the push by governments, is just open warfare against the virtue of purity. That even in schools, children are being told how to use contraceptions. They're being told to explore their sexuality. They're being told to explore, all the kinds of immorality. The devil is just having his heyday. Purity is a jewel. And I just want to encourage you to protect this jewel of purity. And if you've lost it, you can regain it. You can become pure and regain that virtue of purity, of course, through the sacrament of confession and living that life faithfully. I want to tell you a story of a saint who was very sinful. She's called the Magdalene of the Franciscan Order, St. Margaret of Cortona. She was a very beautiful woman, and her mother died very young, when she was young, and her father remarried, and his new wife was very cruel to her, and eventually she had to leave home. And she took up living a very immoral life with various men. And eventually she was with a man as his mistress. And this man went on a hunting party, and he didn't come back for 2 days or 3 days. And his dog came back one day, and the dog came back to her in the house and was kind of acting strange and trying to get her to follow him. So she followed the dog, and she went out into the woods with the dog. And there she found, in a certain spot in the woods, her lover who had been murdered, and his body was decomposing in the ground. And she looked at him in horror, his body. But then, what caused her even greater horror was the thought of where is his soul? Where is his soul now? And she went and began to live a very penitential life. And she cut off her beautiful hair, she went to the Franciscans and asked to be a third order Franciscan, a penitent. And eventually she was tried and she was permitted to. She lived a very penitential life, a very prayerful life. She went back to visit her father and her stepmother. And again, her stepmother was so cruel to her that she almost went back to living that sinful life. The grace of God held on to her. And she continued to live a very holy life, a very pure life, a very saintly life. She performed miracles. She had prophecy. She raised people from the dead. And one of the greatest signs of her holiness, she's incorrupt. Her body is incorrupt in Italy. St. Margaret of Cortona. So that's just to give anyone hope that thinks that they've lost the virtue of purity, that you can regain it by living a holy life, a pure life, a penitential life. She's incorrupt. And she died back in the 1400s or so. But the Eucharist is the bread of angels, that we need Jesus. In our times especially, when there's so much satanic activity, leading souls away from Christ, making souls lukewarm, making souls to be indifferent to religion, that we need to be heroic, and the food that God gives to us to lead a heroic life, a holy life, is the body and blood, soul, and divinity of Jesus. To receive Holy Communion frequently. That the more we receive Jesus, the more we will become like him, the more we will love him, the more we will be united to him, and the more we will give that love to others. And to have also a devotion